Good evening, and welcome to another incoherent version of Diatribes from the voice of doom. Now here's your insouciant and incompetent host, voice of doom. It's going to be just an off-the-cuff thing tonight. I have nothing much to say. Probably be terrible. Can tell from the announcer's intro that it's not going to be good. Sometimes it is good if I talk off the top. Cuba Libre tonight. I'm going to announce my drinks, but that doesn't mean I have to have a full bar at home because that'll just end up, can't end well. But I'll try to entertain you with various comestibles, intoxicants. So, Saturday, of course. Nothing happens on a Saturday. The usual bombings and buildings coming down and genocide here and there, but, nothing major. Petri dish, probably sleeping, which is good. It's interesting because I hear a lot of stuff on talk radio still. I might go back to listening to that a lot and getting off this other stuff because I just hear more interesting stuff. And kind of like certain people are saying, even like Democrats are saying, don't give, to Petri dish. Don't say anything. It's not written down for you. Don't say anything off the teleprompter because you can't speak off the cuff anymore. And even the D's are admitting that he's going to blow it somehow because of his advanced age. We always want to pussyfoot around that and say, it's not his fault that he's been corrupt all his life because he's in the throes of Alzheimer's disease. And he's the leader of the so-called free world, which isn't that free. So I'll just recap what I've said over the last 200 diatribes just to kind of get us caught up because I'm kind of looking forward. I'm kind of getting impatient. I don't want to wait much longer for the conflagration because it's just that much longer we have to wallow in our misery, wallow in our idiocy. And when something really, really big happens, then we can start thinking about what we're going to do for the future. So I want the conflagration to come. I'm sorry. And it's probably my fault. I'm sorry that maybe I was born here to create this universe of mine where there's a conflagration. But everybody else is in the same boat, so it's not all me. But I was just thinking and really getting impatient. Things are blowing up very quickly, and people are being killed by the millions. But the real problem has yet to, manifest itself. And when it does, then there will be a change. It will be the turning to the first turning from the fourth. The fourth is absolute annihilation. And the first turning after that will be a rebuilding with artistic people. And that's what I want to be part of. I have no intentions of going down with the ship. So forget that. I am going to survive because I have a lot to do and I have a long way to go still. I am not going to die anytime soon because I have a mission, and that mission is kind of deep and it's I'm full of myself, but when you stand alone, you have to stand alone, and that's what a Buddha does, and that's what a Buddhist does. And there will be a conflagration and a lot of knowledge and a lot of artifacts and a lot of things will be destroyed and people will be destroyed. And then you're going to have to rebuild from what you remember, from the lore in your head. and what books you may have saved, you're going to have to preserve the truth. Otherwise, it'll be lost. And if nobody's around to preserve it, then I don't know what we'll do. Talking about true Buddhism, talking about saving it and making sure it's preserved for the future because everything could blow up. Now, there's a lot of things that I've talked about over the months and even in the last few episodes having to do with how idiotic everything is, and the corruption of the government is mind-boggling and it's annoying. And people are all arguing back and forth about all kinds of social issues and who's at fault and why everything's not equitable and why people are anti-gay because they don't want kindergartners to be taught about sexuality. And there might be a rhyme to their reason. I know that children have been basically, they grow up too fast. They're exposed to a lot. No matter how hard you try, they're going to be exposed to a lot. Remember when I was 16, with my buddies, and we were just learning how to kind of do the wrong things. And it was our goal to get into one of those peep shows where you put the quarters in, because we wanted to see that. Because, yeah, maybe we've seen a Playboy or a Penthouse, but, we wanted to see some, something really, raunchy. So you had to work to do it. You had to kind of walk in like you know what you're doing and everything's cool. This is back in the 70s, and 70s. And they weren't gonna, they were laxer, but we weren't exposed to all that stuff. I didn't even learn about homosexuality until I was about 8 or 9, and that's when my dad told him he was gay. And I'm like, what does that mean? It's like, well, it means I like men. Well, I like guys. I like boys. My best friends are guys. Well, I like them in a different way than you're talking about. He had a talk with me, not like most parents have a talk with their kids. So I learned from 8 or 9 that this is the way things were, and I put everything together by myself. As far as my parents and their relationship, which never ended, by the way. So I can say that about my dad. He's very steadfast. He was. He was not a frivolous person who just shirked off his responsibility because he wanted to do whatever he wanted to do. And you go back to my diatribes, you can see that story of the history of religion. It tells my whole life story, basically. So, what was I saying about that? Oh, sexuality. Yeah, kindergarten, no. I wanted to learn letters. I wanted to learn how to read. I was looking at books, and it's like, I want to know how to figure those things out. And once they taught me the alphabet, I would go, yeah, all right, I'll go now. Because I learned what I need to know. And I started reading. And I never stopped reading. And I'm very glad that I read, because there's a lot in literature. If you've ever read Hugo, you've ever read Hesse, you've ever read Hardy, all with H. Interesting. Bukowski, Kuntz, King. All kinds of books. You can have fun with books and just enjoy a story. Enjoy a horror story. Enjoy a story about a car that runs over people, whatever. But reading's great. Why did I get into this? Because I was talking about social. We're going to be really distracted with all these stupid-ass social things, trying to make things fair for everybody. When half the people want to be criminals. And it's like, well, it's because they're oppressed. Now, let's not get into that. That's so obvious. There's segments of society that are criminals. And they're being told that the reason they're criminals is because, they're oppressed. They don't have a fair shake in life. No, you got to work. You got to learn. You got to learn how to read. You got to learn math. It's boring. You learn math real good when you're cutting up, a pound of cocaine. Then you learn how to do math. All right, whatever. Just call things the way they are and know that the reason there's not equity is people don't want to put in the time and trouble and effort to live on this planet. It's difficult. I look back on my life, I don't even know how I did it. I didn't even do that much, but I don't know how I got this far. Because I remember doing a lot of crazy things and doing a lot of things that might have gotten me killed. And it's like moving. I drive a truck. Never drive a truck. I drive a truck with towing my car behind with 2 dogs in the cab with me. And we're moving from LA to California, or to Nevada, up to Carson City, and I made it alive, and I don't even know how. I don't even know how I moved around and made it through college, because I was stoned most of the time. But we concern ourselves with the social issues and trying to make things equitable. Meanwhile, we have what? Basically, we're on the brink of World War III. There's no doubt about it, especially they're incompetent all the way around. Plus, we have 3 madmen running the 3 major countries on this planet. They're all 3 mad, and I don't want to go into the details of why. Cyber attacks, the border. Who knows what's coming through? It's just absolute chaos. I don't know what's happening with all those people. I mean, are they being, dealt with? I mean, are they getting jobs, or what's happening with all those thousands and thousands coming over and being bussed here and there? What are they doing after that? Nobody ever wants to think about that. Okay, cyber attacks, EMPs, pandemic still. Don't worry about that. Things are coming back. We're not out of the woods. Crime. All Putin's fault, of course. So you can blame all the crime in New York City on Putin because everybody's stressed out. That's what I wanted to say today, and I don't have a title for this because it was Incoherent Babbling. Maybe I'll call it Incoherent Babbling. That's a good one. Because I wanted to say we're preoccupied with crap, with Disneyland, and with, whether or not a swimmer should be in the pool and all these other things. And there's serious problems going on, and we don't have the leadership, people with the brain capacity to handle these problems. We can't have politicians solving our problems anymore. They're not competent. We need scientists, we need economists with brains, we need real brainy people to solve these problems. We don't want to solve problems. And it's annoying to say, well, when those Republicans win, oh my God, it's all we hear now. What a shellacking the Democrats are going to have. You think the goppers are going to do anything? They can't do anything. They're not going to indict a bunch of high mucky mucks like HC and HB and all these other people. They're not going to indict them. They're not going to get to the bottom of a lot of things of why the last, and I mean final president was pilloried and lied about and libeled and slandered. They're not going to get to the bottom of that, because if they do, it'll be like, okay, open up the curtain and we're all going to go down. So I didn't say anything, and I think I said a lot. I'm going to look at this again. Some of my impromptu crap actually has a little bit of wisdom in it. And I think I'll watch myself, because that's the only self-gratification I get right now. So we'll talk more later. Monday's coming, and we can talk about a new crisis. So enjoy the evening.